Oh, I'm on the wrong page. There we go. Math 3-5. It's formulas, tables, and graphs by Juliet the dog. It's really not by Juliet the dog, but I don't know. I think she must help me sometimes, and I just don't even give her credit. So thank you, Juliet the dog. Now, in this lesson, you're going to think about your basic multiplication division facts, and that'll just kind of whoosh. You'll have that information, just be able to pull it out. To make and interpret a line graph, and what you're going to need to make sure that you know how to do is look at a line graph and be able to make sense of it. Figure out what it's talking about, what it's telling you, what is it representing. So you have to be able to do that, but you also have to be able to plot data from a table and put it into a line graph. And when you do that, you're really showing people you understand the relationship between these two things. Also, you need to be able to make formulas. Right, start with equivalent rate. When we find a rate, we relate two things. So when we think about how fast somebody's going in a car, we can think of how many, let's say, miles, maybe miles is on this side, per hour, maybe hours down here. And if you speed up and slow down, that'll be shown in here. And when you compare those two things, you get a rate type of relationship, which calculates speed. So if I'm going 20 miles per hour, how many miles do I go in 1 hour? 20 miles. 20 miles in 1 hour. So if I go 20 miles per hour, how many miles do I go in 2 hours? Well, if 20 is 1 hour and 20 is another hour, then it's 20 plus 20, which is, yes, 40. So you see in the pattern here. If you add another hour onto that, 40 plus 20 would be 60. Ding, ding, ding. See, you can create a chart to tell you about that relationship, but then also can go the other way. So if you're going 20 miles per hour, how many miles would you go in a half of an hour? 10. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So as you look at this chart, that tells you exactly what we've been talking about, but you can see the pattern more clearly. It just goes one from the other to the other to the other. So it's organized in a way that makes sense. You're able to communicate when you display organized information, either a graph, a chart, or a line drawing. See this? I can't draw a vertical line in this program, but so if I have time on the bottom here, distance on the going up the side, but you can see how the line might go like this if you go faster and slower. Cool, huh? And that's really all that rates ever are. Two things that relate to each other to give us information that neither thing could give us all by itself. When we communicate that relationship, a graph is perfect, because when we use a graph, we can relate two things. And then you could also use a formula to complete a table and analyze a function. You use a formula for rate as a shortcut to explain the relationship between those two things that impact one another. And I know how much you guys like shortcuts. So that's a reason you're going to love algebra. Okay. On to pages, journal pages 98 to 101. This is a big practice time. So take a look at this. The thing that I think is really interesting is multiplication is already a shortcut. And then you use multiplication in another shortcut. So it's a shortcut inside of a shortcut. I think that's kind of cool. You need to think about how multiplication is helping you as you do the problems 98 through 101, how graphs can help you understand, how formulas create shortcuts, and what do the formulas represent. If you look at pages 98 to 101, do a couple of the hardest problems, and you think, I know this, I'm really good, go ahead and take the quiz. and then do that part that says going further. All right, see you later. Now, let me see if I can figure out how to do this.